The cats are totally fighting right now. Hey everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and I'm here today to do my June wrap-up. If you hear yowling in the background, my cats are playing, fighting. I'm really not sure what the difference is since this is my first time having two cats. Just don't knock over the camera. Anyways, so I'm here today to do my June wrap-up. I actually finished a total of 9 books this last month, which is pretty great. I thought I had done a lot worse, but 9 books is still alright, so let's just kind of jump into them because I don't want to take forever. The first book I read in the month of June was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. No surprise, this was a reread for me. This is my favorite author and maybe my favorite series. I'm not sure, but obviously I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I have a book talk on this on my channel if you want to go see that down below. Basically, if you're new to the booktube community and have never heard of Throne of Glass, this series is about a girl named Celaena Sardothien who is an assassin, and she's not just an assassin, she is the best assassin of her city. This novel starts with her getting picked up from the salt mines in Endovier, where she had spent a year since she had gotten caught, because the crown prince has a proposal for her to become the champion in his father's new game. It was amazing, 5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend picking it up if you never have. Some people have said that the series is kind of problematic. Personally, this is kind of a guilty pleasure read for me, and I love Celaena, so don't think too hardly of me if you hate this series because I love it. The next book that I read this month was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I gave this also 5 out of 5 stars. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I loved this book. I was really in the mood for something very high fantasy, very fae, very dark, and The Cruel Prince was everything I wanted it to be. I will say I kind of spoiled myself for this book by looking at fan art before I ever read the book. Don't do that. This story follows Jude, who is a human that was captured and taken to the Faelands to be raised there. And it just, if that premise alone doesn't intrigue you, I don't know what else to tell you, because honestly I think knowing less about this book going in is better, because I was just very shocked with the entire plot. I didn't realize that she had been human. I didn't know that she'd been taken to Fae lands, that human lands existed in this. So I've already spoiled you more than I already knew. And I'm actually super excited because the second book in this series, I don't know if it's a series, is coming out later on this year, The Wicked King, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. So yeah, read it. Next up, I read Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, The Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan. This is the first book in the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard trilogy. I listened to this on audiobook actually, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I think the audiobook kind of affected my view on the book because the story is incredible. I've always loved Rick Riordan's writing. It just teaches you so much about the mythology that he's focused on for each book, and you don't even realize you're learning until you get to the end and you just know all this new information. So that's definitely my favorite part about his writing. This book in particular follows Magnus Chase, obviously, but it has a twist. He is dead for most of this book, and not like, oh, dead, he's gonna come back to life. No, he's dead. So definitely listen to a clip of it if you were planning on listening to this on audiobook. Maybe you're gonna love it. Personally, I just found that the narrator didn't have enough inflection for me, or I found his voices quite unbelievable, which was a disappointment because so far I've loved almost every single audiobook I've listened to, so this one was just kind of shocking for me. After that, I picked up A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. This is the second book in the An Ember in the Ashes quartet. I believe that's what it's gonna be, 4 books. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. It was a pretty solid story. This one is still following Elias and Laia after the events of A Torch Against the Night. Basically, this series is about a conquered empire, or a conquered people called the Scholars, and they were conquered by the Empire. The Empire is this Roman-esque military unit that Elias is a part of, and obviously Laia is a scholar. And in the first book, she joins the rebels to free her brother, who is wrongly imprisoned, maybe rightly imprisoned. I guess you'll have to read it to find out. So I did really like this. I was expecting a little bit more from this. It's more of like a 3.75 if I'm gonna be honest. I think it's the writing style that I just have to get used to, but I keep expecting this to build up to more. There's a ton of world building. There's a lot that we are learning, and I kept thinking that it was the last book. I thought that it was a lot of world building, a lot of build up, so that this book would be jam-packed, and I didn't feel that this book was as jam-packed as I thought it would, which was kind of surprising. I just thought that, I don't know, something about these stories are falling flat for me. I do plan on picking up a Reaper at the Gates. I'll let you guys know if it changes for me. Maybe it's just the writing style that I'm not accustomed to. The next book I actually listened to on audiobook as well, and that is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I've been trying to read a lot of the books that have been on my shelves for a long time. I don't want to just have them there. They should be read. And The Wrath and the Dawn is one of those. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a good story. I really enjoyed it. I just felt that Renee Ahdieh has a lot of potential with her writing, because you can tell that like the knowledge of words is there. I just feel like at sometimes you don't need to use those words for that situation. I just think that sometimes you just need the simple word, and it felt a little excessive. This story follows a girl named Shahrazad who volunteers to be the Khalid's wife, and this is actually a pretty big move because every single wife the Khalid has had has died within the first night of their marriage. So something happens, she's able to survive that first night, and this kind of follows the story, learning why the Khalid is murdering people, learning just in general more about herself and the kingdom. I really like Shahrazad as a character, and I ended up loving Khalid because he's such like a gray character for most of the book, so you really just don't know what's going on in his head, and it was really intriguing. And I'm definitely gonna pick up The Mist and the Fury. The Rose and the Dagger, so yeah. The next book I read this month, as you can tell from the smile on my face, is one of my new favorite books. Maybe even like my new favorite series. And that's Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I loved this. This follows Mia Corvair, who is in training / is an assassin, and it's such a great world. The magic was really awesome. Mia's personality was something that I didn't expect at all from this. And also the training that they use, or that J. Kristoff uses to become an assassin, is just so smart. I couldn't put it in a different way, but like I love the way that the training goes in this book. So if you are a lover of badass assassin ladies and you're looking for something new, definitely pick up Nevernight. Also, there's kind of a talking cat in this. I don't want to give away too much. It's not really a cat, but it's kind of a cat, and I love him. I love books with really well-rounded animals. Sorry if I'm at a slightly different angle or position. I just had to go answer the door, but I'm back now. The next book that I read this month was The Dark Prophecy by Rick Riordan. This is the second book in the Trials of Apollo series. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I actually listened to this on audiobook and it was amazing. I highly recommend the audiobook for this. I loved the narrator. I loved the story. It was so fun and fast-paced and just so much happened, but it's also dealing with a lot of darker topics, which is really cool to see Rick Riordan tackle them in such a fun and lighthearted way, because it's not lighthearted, but he still just makes it very easy to read about. So the Trials of Apollo is a series where Apollo has been cast down from Olympus as a human, and he's not just himself as a human. He is not what he would have picked as an ideal vessel for his godly self, and he has so much sass, and he doesn't know why this happened. He has no memory of being cast down from Olympus, and he has to complete trials, obviously, to potentially win back his godly powers and godly self. I recommend it. After that, I actually picked up The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey on audiobook. I actually gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Wow, I didn't expect that. I recently watched, I believe it was Witty Novels video, where it was like book series where the first one was good, but like I don't remember what it was called. I'll link it down below. But she mentions this book in it, and she says that Yes, the second and third book are not good at all, but she highly recommends reading the first one because this one was so good, and it was. I listened to it on audiobook. It was such an easy writing style. This is a dystopian where aliens have invaded the earth, but they are killing off the population in waves. So this one particularly follows Cassie as she is alone and trying to survive in the world and trying to find her little brother who was taken away from her. It's really a good sci-fi. I feel like I just had a really good time actually. I am gonna end up picking up The Infinite Sea, which is the second book in the series, because you know what? If I like the first one so much, maybe I'm even gonna like the second one. Maybe. And the last book that I read this month was Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas. This was the book that I set to read for this month for the read-along. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. No surprise. Again, still like one of my favorite series. I believe that Sarah J Maas has the best ending. She just has a way of just wrapping everything up that you kind of weren't even putting together in the middle of the book and just ending it. And you're just like, how did you do that? I'm really excited to get into Heir of Fire, so. Those are all the books that I read in the month of June. I hope to read even more books in July, but we'll see, I guess. And thanks so much for watching today, guys. Let me know what books you guys read this month, or out of all the books that I read, let me know if you've read any of them, and if you have, how did you feel about them? So yeah, I don't know, just leave anything down below. I love talking to you guys. So I will see you in my next one, okay? Bye!